Hey everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of my automatic incubator build, where I demonstrate how I built the structure that holds the eggs and how I configured a timer relay delay switch to power a motor that turns the eggs every 240 minutes or 4 hours. This was not a difficult build. It did take some research to configure the wiring. It also took a couple tries to get the right timer module. The first one I used did not offer the flexibility I needed to control the time. I will leave a link in the description to the timer relay module and the motor I used. The first thing I did was create a rectangular structure that fit inside the incubator. This is the outer frame that will hold the eggs. After making sure the frame fit nice and snug, I screwed it together. If you are using a styrofoam container like this one, note that the top of the container is slightly wider and longer than the bottom, so consider that when doing your measurements. Next, I worked on creating the inner frame that would turn the eggs. Because this wooden structure was kind of thin, I didn't want to risk splitting the wood by hammering in nails. I could have used a nail gun, but instead I drilled 1/2-inch holes using a 1/2-inch drill bit. The holes were just big enough to allow an extremely tight fit of the dowels. This, coupled with the wood glue, ensured that it was secure enough to turn the eggs without falling apart. Next, I cut out a piece of plywood to mount the motor. I really didn't measure it, I just traced the line to ensure the wood cutout was wide enough and long enough for the motor to fit on. This block will be attached to the part of the motor that spins. Make sure there is enough room for the block to spin all the way around without coming into contact with the back of the egg turning structure. There are 3 holes in this block, one for the motor, a tiny hole for a small nail to hold the block in place on the motor, and a hole for the bolt that will fit down into the inner egg frame, which will help to turn the eggs. This is how the egg turning structure looks when completely assembled. You cannot see the bolt from this angle, but it fits into the slits of the 2 horizontal bars. This is what links the motor to the egg turning frame. Everything appears to be working just fine. However, I wanted to add something under the egg structure. This may not be needed, but I didn't want the wood frame sliding back and forth on the styrofoam, as I wasn't sure how well the material would hold up. So I used screen I had lying around, but you could simply attach a piece of plywood underneath, or you may not have to do this step at all. Here's a better look beneath the motor with it attached to the frame. I made sure that that little block attached to the motor did not come in contact with the back of the frame when it spins all the way around. You can also get a better look at the bolt protruding from the block, which fits into the egg turning structure. This is the switch that I'm using to turn the motor on and off to rotate the eggs. I'm not going to go into all of the details of this timer delay switch. I'm just going to tell you what settings I'm using to configure it. If you want to know all of the settings for this switch, then you can go online. There are many videos that go through all of the settings. So basically you can power this device using a USB micro, or you can use the 2 I was going to say 12 volt, but this range from 5 volt to 24 volts. So you can connect your power source here, and then here I have the incubator connected. So I'll show you the wiring a little more detail, but as far as setting the switch, I'm using the P6 option. This option allows you to go into a loop without a switch. a signal being sent to the controller. It'll automatically start up and cycle through as soon as it receives power. So basically what you want to do is you want to hold this button to go into the set mode, which we were already in. So I just came out of it, so I'm just going to go back in. So this is the set mode, and you can cycle up and down as far as what mode you want by hitting the button. And as you can see, it goes up to P7, but we want P6. And then from there, you hit set, and it goes to the next option. Now for this demonstration, I'm going to turn the motor on for 4 seconds. That's the seconds button. So you can move this decimal by hitting the stop button in this mode, but we're going to leave it on 4 seconds to turn for the motor to run, and then we're going to set it for 5 seconds, or actually let's do 6 seconds for the motor to stop. And then you can put it in a loop up to 9,999 loops. So I actually don't know if I set it to, let's test this, if I set it to here, if this would also cause it to be an infinite loop. I don't know, I guess we'll see that now if it works. So everything is set. So you're going to hold the set button for about 3 seconds to move it out of the set phase, and now it's going through. And it looks like that is the setting for infinite loop. So you can see inside here, and see if I can move the switch over so you can see the switch turn on and off as it's cycling through. So it's off for 6 seconds, and then it comes back on. And that light, the light came on because there's another, the module that we already discussed, the thermostat, comes on and shuts off based on the temperature inside the incubator. So as you can see, this is working. So now what I'm going to do is change the settings so that it rotates. The motor is turned on for 4 seconds, but then it turns off for maybe 4 hours. I'll try 4 hours. So every 4 hours the motor will turn on for 4 seconds. So that's what I'm going to set this as in the final stage. So this is the motor that's connected inside the incubator. This is an extra one. So basically the way the motor is connected, the motor has the 2 blue cables coming out of the incubator. This is the one that's connected in the incubator. One of the wires from the motor connects to one of the cords inside this spliced power cord, and then the other wire goes directly into the switch. Meanwhile, this wire that's coming out of the switch goes directly to the other side of the spliced cord. So there are 2 cables coming out of this cord, and that's how it's set up. So here's the timer delay switch, And originally I had it connecting to the USB for power, but now I have it connected to the original AC DC adapter that's connected to the thermostat. So the AC, if you look back at the previous video, you will see where I connected the AC DC adapter to positive and negative cables. Well, this also goes into the same AC/DC connector, positive and negative. So you can connect multiple positive inputs as well as negative connectors. And I just went ahead and connected it to the positive and negative side of the relay switch, and that way I didn't have to use the USB cable because I'm using that for something else. So instead of having to plug in 3 connections, I just have the AC/DC adapter, which is powering both the relay, the timer, as well as the thermostat, and this cable is powering the relay switch, and this one is powering the light bulb. Here's a better look at the wiring again, using a diagram to make things a little easier. The timer module itself is powered by the AC/DC adapter. That's to the left of the diagram. The red wire connects to the positive port and the black wire to the negative. In regard to the motor, one end of the motor connects directly to the timer module NO or normal open port. The other end of the motor is connected to one of the spliced cables of the power cord. The other side of the spliced power cord connects to the COM or common port, which is the center connection on the timer module. Again, you do not have to splice any power cords if you are uncomfortable with this. You can actually buy power cords that have the connectors attached. You do not have to splice power cables if you're not comfortable with that, or if you do not have any extra cables lying around. Instead, you can purchase a power cable with the terminal connector adapter. I will leave a link to that in the description box. And this is the setup before putting the lid on and turning it on. Got the motor all set up. Have a thermometer in here with humidity and the temperature. This is not the right temperature. I just brought this temperature from out of a different room. And each of the eggs are marked so I can see how well the motor is turning them, or if I need to intervene here and there. And then we have a cup of water, or a bottle of water, and it's pretty much filled to the top. And this will help with humidity. And then we have the fan, just to circulate the warm air throughout the incubator. And that's pretty much it. So we're ready to turn this on. So here we are ready to turn this on. Ignore the extra eggs in the compost bin. Just, oops. Again, here's the timer set for 240 minutes, which is 4 hours. And also P6, which is continuous loop until I turn this off. And here's the temperature counting up, so the light will stay on until it reaches the max, which is the threshold, which is 39 degrees Celsius, and it's about 102 degrees Fahrenheit. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to help this small channel to grow.